Thank you to Bidding Classics for sponsoring today's video. Check out this online auction for classic cars with no buyer's fees. Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack and today I'm here with this fantastic 1969 Mini Cooper S. Now, have you wondered what happened to the original Mini Coopers that were in the film The Italian Job? Well, there is a really shady story about those, and in this video I'm going to tell you about that. And I'm going to drive this wonderful car. We're going to take it out and see if the reputation for their handling and how fun they are is deserved. Now, there is some confusion about numbers, but what I have read is that 6 Mini Coopers were bought officially directly from BMC themselves. The production company also bought 25 second-hand of the lower rung 850cc cars, non-Coopers, from Switzerland for the filming. What I do know is that none of the original Coopers survived. And what is interesting is that in 2011, 3 cars which were restored, apparently restored Italian Job cars, were presented at Goodwood. There was an article in the Daily Mail and the official story said that the owner bought some boxes of parts that had been stored in Italy and that importantly they came with the original registrations. It said, after bidding £6,000 for 3 boxes of bits from the original cars in 2006, 42-year-old David Morton from Newcastle has lovingly restored the cars to their exact original film specification. Now, as you will see, that is slightly misleading. Let's take this car out, see how it drives, and I'll tell you a bit more about that particular story. So it's quite important for me to give you a tiny bit of history on this particular car because Adam brought it up and he has owned this, I think, since he was 16. He bought it in 1985 and used it until 1987 when the engine started to burn a bit too much oil. He then put it in his dad's garage where it remained for the next 27 years before it was restored to this beautiful condition. And it has a few little peculiarities. These seats were called Cox safety seats. They're very rare. Really advanced for the time. They have reels going into the seat itself and they were designed to collapse in a crash, basically to take some of the impact. So for this time, really advanced little seats. He's also got slightly bigger SU carbs at the front. The steering wheel is a period correct upgrade, and those clocks and seats originally come from the Mark I that was owned by Adam's father, which is a really nice touch. Also, I can't resist showing you the rear boot lid with the number plate that flips backwards so that you can run with it open for more storage. Now, the original Mark I was a 987, I think, so it was a longer stroke. Had 55 horsepower. This is a Mark II with a Cooper S with a 1275. As standard, it would have had 75 horsepower. This one perhaps has a few more. Is pretty familiar to me because I had an A-Series in Fred, my Sprite, and it feels pretty good. In the lower gears, 5.5 feels like it's still sort of ripping up through the rev range, but the engine does it's rough all the time, this A-Series, to be quite honest. That's just the way they are. But the further up you rev it, the rougher it gets. 5.5 in first and second seems to be really good, work really well. After that, as it starts to slow through the curve, you want to change up a bit earlier. It's got quite a flat torque curve, so you don't really need to be revving it too much, but it's a very, very characterful little engine, and in a car weighing just below 600 kilograms, it definitely gives it enough zip for it to be a lot of fun. Now these won the Monte Carlo Championship in 64, 65 and 67. So they are supposed to be absolutely legendary handlers. Is it true? Well, yes. This particular car has the hydroelastic suspension still, doesn't have the rubber blocks that some of the later cars had, and so it handles the smaller bumps really, really well. It's not a bad ride. It can't deal with the bigger bumps because it doesn't have the wheel travel. The steering is something else. It's quite interesting because it's not immediately quick off center, it's quite sweet off center. But once you put more lock on, it just sort of heads off in a way that would be alien to anyone who hasn't driven these. People say go-kart, stuff like that. That's not true. A go-kart has much heavier steering. The steering's actually quite light, and it just pivots once you're in that corner. Its willingness to turn is simply fantastic. It really is. I think it's also the level of feel which marks it out from anything else. The driving position would be absolutely alien to anyone who hasn't driven a car of this era, or a Mini in particular, to be quite honest, because I'm tall, I'm 6'1". Adam managed to get the seat back far enough so that I can fit in it fairly comfortably, but my legs are still quite folded up. Also, when I push in the clutch, the top of my foot hits the steering column, and I've got a really long reach to the wheel, which in turn is really canted forward. So it's a real bus-like driving position, but in a weird way, coupled with that incredibly feelsome and intuitive steering, it makes you feel a bit like you're, I don't know, like you're the king of the road. The brakes feel a little bit wooden on this one. I'm not sure if that's just the way they were. At this point in time, of course, brakes weren't the best, but these did have the advantage of having discs, so they would be definitely better than the normal cars. So what's the real story with those restored Mini Coopers? Okay, well, there's a few things to be aware of. 6 real Coopers were bought for the film. They were all destroyed, mainly in those tunnel scenes, in the sewer scenes where they ended up on their roofs. Out of the 20 or 25 that were bought, the 850cc cars that were made to look like Coopers, most of them were used up in the scenes with the coach at the end where the cars were thrown off the cliff. 6 of those apparently did survive somewhere, but they were never found. So how did these restored Coopers actually come about? Well, another hint is in the number plates. They used the same number plates as the film. They are real number plates, but the ones used in the film were fake because the cars in the film were Mark IIs, but they had the number plates from the previous years so that they would tally up. So they were never actually taken. Somebody discovered, I think in 2005, that those plates were still there to be bought from DVLA and bought them. Also, a couple of boxes of bits were found somewhere in a lockup in Italy, but it was really things like, I think, the light bars at the front and a few little small items. So what those 3 restored cars actually are is, I mean, there's some good recreations with some number plates bought in 2005. And a few very minor bits from the original cars. So the way the Daily Mail described them as faithfully then restored is absolutely not true. They are not the original cars, but they are as good a reproduction as we have at the moment. Having driven one of the later cars, one of the, I think it was an 80, one of the latest basically with the injected engines and everything else, the wide tyres, I can say that these do feel like they are very, very different. They just feel lighter, they feel more agile, there's more feel through the steering. I mean, the later cars are good too, but I think this is definitely the authentic experience.
If you're interested in hearing more and seeing a video about the difference between the Minis and the Alphas that would have been in the film, then have a look at this video. If you want me to do a video on your car, then please get in touch, and I really look forward to seeing you for the next one.